by Walter Lantz. The story is that Walter Lantz and his wife were on their honeymoon, and outside their window.
This was actually displayed at the 1979 Toy Fair in New York City, and it is the only carded rocket-firing Boba Fett in the world.
First up, a customer rolls in carrying a Woody Woodpecker Surf Rider oil painting from 1978 by Walter Lantz. Rick lights up like a kid again. He's geeking out about Woody, even sharing the hilarious story of how Lance's wife secretly recorded herself to land the role of Woody's voice. Honestly, that reveal alone was worth the watch. The seller's asking $10,000 though, and Rick looks like he just bit into a lemon.
The Woody Woodpecker Surf Rider oil painting.
Okay.
From 1978. Done by Walter Lantz.
Yeah, I deeply dig it. I loved Woody Woodpecker as a kid.
Rick immediately spots some damage, tiny stains, a yellow tinge, and you can just feel his doubt creeping in. The seller insists it was appraised for big money, mainly because of Japanese collectors. But Rick's poker face says it all. He's not buying that at face value. He calls in Brett, the expert, to figure this out. Smart move, because this painting is either a hidden gem or a $10,000 paperweight.
By the Japanese market.
Okay. It appears you have a little bit of damage right there. Even the slightest little thing can really affect value. Just hang out a little bit. I'm gonna give a friend a call.
Brett finally arrives and takes one look at Woody surfing a wave. His excitement is contagious. He explains Lance actually wanted to be a fine artist before animation. He checks the condition, notices smoke staining, and then delivers the hammer. Retail value only $4,000 to $5,000. Watching the seller's face drop after bragging about a $10,000 appraisal, pure entertainment gold. Talk about expectations crashing down.
Before he was ever an illustrator, so he took night classes while he worked for William Randolph Hearst as a copy boy.
Then comes the negotiation. Rick lowballs hard. He offers $2,000. The seller tries holding at $7,000, but Rick won't budge. He reminds him, "I can't pay for sentimental value." The tension is brutal. You could cut it with a knife. Finally, the seller storms off with the painting, muttering he'll just hang it back on his wall. Honestly, Rick's grin after shutting that down was priceless.
8?
No, because I don't think I can sell it.
Right after, things get even more interesting. A man walks in with a 19th century lockbox built by Alfred C. Hobbs, the legendary lockpicker. This is straight up history. Hobbs embarrassed London's top locksmiths in 1851, earning global fame. The seller wants $500, but Rick instantly points out it's collectible only, not practical. You can feel the price drop hammer coming before it even lands.
How you doing?
What do we got?
I have a lockbox made by the greatest lock picker of the 19th century.
Rick and the seller start haggling like crazy. Rick goes for $100. Ouch! The seller fires back with $400. The back and forth is fierce, and you can almost hear the gears turning in Rick's head. Finally, they settle at $350. Watching the seller smile, talking about using the money for a nice dinner with his wife, was the perfect ending. Talk about negotiating down, but still walking away happy.
Great controversy of 1851. Really got his reputation going. That's why he started the company.
And it was great market for him.
Next up, a quirky comic relief moment. Chumley gets sucked into a trivia app on his phone, dragging Rick into the silliest Q&A session ever. From pizza's origins to Hadrian's Wall, Rick nails answers like a smug professor, while Chumley's cheering like a little kid. The banter is hilarious, but Rick's patience runs thin fast. He grumbles about making a trivia app himself, already plotting world domination. Can you believe this guy?
There's just not one challenging trivia game out there.
So if you're so smart, answer me where pizzas was invented.
Then it's back to business. A seller arrives with a massive Dodgers autograph bench and table, built from baseball bats and balls. The guy's goal? To have every Dodger touch this piece, making it almost religious. Rick looks intrigued but cautious. Then comes the kicker. The seller wants $60,000. The shop goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Even Rick looks like he might faint.
Back to Brooklyn, and I was commissioned by another major league team to make an autograph bench, and that's where this idea came from.
Rick knows this is out of his depth, so he calls in Jeremy, the sports memorabilia expert. Jeremy checks it over and instantly praises the Charles Ebbets autograph and Jackie Robinson's 1954 signature, both holy grails of Dodgers history. But then his face twists in horror when he notices holes drilled through bats and balls. Sacrilegious, he declares. Seriously, Jeremy looked like he'd just witnessed a crime scene.
Take a look at it. It's Lantz wants a lot of money for them. There's a lot of stuff here.
Just from what I can see here real quick, this is absolutely fantastic. So what are some of the best pieces we have in here?
And then comes the verdict, 10,000 to 12,000 tops because of the damage. The seller looks crushed. He was dreaming of $60,000. Rick offers $8,000, but the guy flat out refuses, insisting it's worth way more. Watching Rick shrug and walk away while the seller clings to his art piece was just deliciously awkward. This was a negotiation that crashed harder than a fastball to the ribs.
The bats and balls, in my industry, it's extremely careless, and quite honestly, it's sacrilegious. You're not supposed to alter, signed memorabilia when you have it.
The Dodgers bench is still haunting Rick. He's blown away by the history but can't stomach the risks. He flat out tells the seller, "There's history, it's cool, but I gotta make money." The seller politely refuses, insisting someone else will pay top dollar. Watching Rick shake his head as the guy walked out was peak Pawn Stars, a mix of respect and good luck with that.
Pick this up.
I understand.
When it comes down to making money, that's what you got to do. So I don't think you're going to take like $8 grand for all this.
As if that wasn't enough, another pair of sellers walks in with a 10-volume first edition of the Delian course from 1901. Basically, it was a liberal arts education set for women back in the day. History, music, philosophy, all in one. Rick gives a cool history lesson about book clubs, but then crushes their hopes. He offers just $50. Can you imagine hauling those heavy books for years just to get dinner money?
Kind, and it's hard to price something like this.
What do we have here?
I have the Delphin course, 10-volume set, first edition, which was printed in 1901.
The sellers try bargaining, $100, then $60, because it's easier to split. Rick smirks and calls them out for bad math, sticking to $50 flat. They finally cave, realizing it's either that or keep lugging the set around. Walking out with cash, they joke about blowing it on dinner anyway. Honestly, I respect the hustle, but this was the lowest energy negotiation of the episode. Still entertaining though.
Week your club met. They had intellectual discussions and they talked about what they read about that week. It was a social thing and you got to learn something.
A customer steps up with a Popeye coin bank and says he snagged it at a garage sale. Rick perks up instantly. This isn't just cute decor, it's a savings bank designed to lock until you hit $5, then unlock so you could march it to the bank like a tiny financial triumph. Rick's grin screams nostalgia. Popeye Saturdays, anyone? But you can cut this tension with a knife.
I have a bank.
This one here is Popeye.
Did Popeye inspire you to eat spinach?
No, I'm not a spinach eater.
Rick explains the history. These banks were wildly popular. Metal, durable, built to survive kids and chaos, not the flimsy plastic we see now. The seller admits he's hoping for $50, but Rick's already in calculator mode. The Popeye theme adds charm, but condition and demand rule the price. Can you believe this drama over a sailor bank? It's classic pawn math versus sentimental value, and I did not see this little tin titan causing heat.
First time would unlock it, and when you got $5 in it, it would unlock.
Now the sparring. Rick opens at 20. The seller counters with 35. Bold move for a garage sale find. Rick smirks and caps his offer at 25, firm as an anchor. After a beat, the seller folds, because free item plus cash equals instant win. Seriously, watch that reaction. Priceless. Popeye would flex for that bargain. Rick bags the deal at 25 and we sail straight into the next storm.
I'd probably be a buyer in a range for about $20.
I was thinking more around 50.
Enter Craig, usually Rick's gun guru, but today he's selling. Plot twist. He unveils a Moore pistol from the Civil War and drops a bomb. It allegedly belonged to a black officer from Louisiana. Rick's eyebrows hit orbit. That claim could rewrite expectations or crash hard. Craig cites engravings and provenance, but Rick's skepticism is louder than a cannon. Talk about a twist waiting to be verified.
Craig is my gun guy, and usually I'm showing guns to him.
Craig runs through the quick history. Only around 5,000 were made thanks to patent issues with Smith & Wesson. The frame's brass, silver-plated, and the condition is sweet. Then he shoots his shot, $7,000. Rick winces. Great story, sure, but stories must stand up to history. This piece is either museum level or myth territory. You can feel the shop holding its breath for a verdict.
This is a Moore. They made about 5,000 during the Civil War. They made so few pistols.
Rick won't gamble blind. He calls in the beard of knowledge, Mark, to settle it. Even Craig's nervous laugh says it all. If the story collapses, so does the price. We're about to get a full-on Civil War crash course. Stakes? Sky high. If Mark validates it, Craig's ask suddenly looks tame. If not, well, hello, discount aisle.
The Civil War, I know. But you've got this book saying that this gun belonged to a black officer from Louisiana.
Mark arrives and zeroes in on the engraving. Lieutenant S. Hayes, Company F, 2nd Regiment, Louisiana Native Guard. He explains New Orleans fell in 1862. Union General Benjamin Butler raised the Louisiana Native Guard from free black men. And yes, they had black officers. Drama overload. This unit flips the expectation entirely, and the inscription lines up with real history.
My friend Craig brought me a gun that's got an amazing story behind it. If this story is true, this thing is really special.
Then the name lands, Lieutenant Solomon Hayes. Mark lays out that Hayes served until resigning in February 1864. Watching Rick's face shift from skeptic to awestruck, chef's kiss. Mark calls it one of the coolest pistols he's ever seen. Seriously, look at that reaction. Story and steel coming together like a perfect checkmate.
Rode back to Washington and said, I don't have enough men to garrison this area, and so he raised the Louisiana Native Guard.
With history confirmed, the duel starts. Craig wants $7 grand. Rick volleys 5. Craig stands tall. Rick counters 6. Beat of silence. Craig nods. Boom. $6,000 and a handshake. You could cut this tension with a knife, and the payoff is massive. A verified pistol tied to a pioneering black officer. Talk about a plot twist.
So you want $7 grand for it?
I should want more now. Gee, gosh.
You take 5 for it?
No, Rick.
A new seller arrives with a signed cabinet card of President Benjamin Harrison, hoping to fund an anniversary trip for her parents. Rick jokes about being distantly related. Corey's side-eye says, sure buddy. But jokes aside, genuine presidential autographs are serious money, if real. Time to separate ink from illusion.
What can I help you with?
I have this signed picture.
Benjamin Harrison.
Rick breaks down cabinet cards, popular in the late 1800s, and flags the big question, is that signature ink or just printed? The seller shoots for $500. Rick's cautious. If it's not genuine, it's barely worth lunch. He calls his autograph expert Stuart because in this shop, paper claims need ironclad proof.
Where did you get it?
Well, we had it in our family for about 70 years. It was part of a photo album, and this one was signed.
Stuart examines it like a hawk. First, it's truly signed in ink, not a printed facsimile. Then he checks Benjamin Harrison's tells, roughly 30-degree right slant, Ben J, followed by Harrison, and that quirky blip inside the B, one by one. Check, check, check. Authenticity confirmed. The seller's eyes light up. Rick's grin says, now we're talking.
Cabinet cards today are actually relatively common. I've gone to book and photography shows where some dealers have binders and binders.
Curveball time. Stuart notes the image is a 2nd or 3rd generation photograph, not a crisp 1st generation. That dings the value, but not fatally. He pegs fair retail around $1,250. Expectations versus reality hits hard, but this is still a sweet slice of presidential history. Can you believe this drama from a cabinet card?
And there are a few things I look for with the Benjamin Harrison. First, there's about a 30-degree slant.
Negotiation mode. The seller floated $500. Rick goes strategic at $700. She counters $800. Rick groans. They spar, edge closer, and finally land at $750. Seriously, watch that reaction. Relief and triumph in one breath. Rick scores a signed president for well under retail, and the seller still walks with a great payday. Win-win deal magic.
So $500, no problem.
Can you go a little bit higher?
I give you like $700 for it. That's the best I could do on it.
Really?
Things heat up fast in this Pawn Stars episode. A customer strolls in holding a Colt .45 revolver from the 1880s, and instantly you can feel the weight of history in the room. Rick's eyes light up, but there's hesitation. This thing could either be a collector's dream or a total disaster. The seller explains he picked up the Colt during an estate sale, admitting he knows next to nothing about guns. Rick jumps in with a crash course. This is a single-action army, aka the Peacemaker, the firearm of the Wild West. These were basically the Glocks of their day. The seller looks proud, but Rick warns, people fake these all the time, especially nickel-plated versions. One wrong move here and thousands of dollars are on the line.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, how are you?
All right, what do you got here?
Got an 1884 Colt .45 revolver.
It's not loaded, is it?
Rick plays it safe and calls in his weapons expert to verify authenticity. When the expert arrives, he wastes no time. He's seen it all, from spears to tanks. He breaks it down. Yes, it's real, mostly original. Though one serial number doesn't match the rest. That little mismatch stings, but overall, the revolver is legit and valued at a whopping $3,000 to $5,000. You can see Rick itching to buy it right then and there.
Earlier today, a guy brought in a Colt revolver he believes is from 1884. I think it's probably real, but I also know these guns have been faked over and over again. So I called in my buddy Rick to take a closer look.
Negotiation time. The seller wants $4,000, standing firm like a cowboy in a showdown. Rick counters hard at $2,000, pointing out the mismatched part and resale risks. The seller pushes for $2,500, but Rick doesn't budge. The tension is thick. Will pride or profit win? Finally, the seller caves at $2,000 cash. Watching Rick smirk, you know he's thrilled to snag this piece of history at his price.
I really like this gun, and I'm thrilled it's real. Even though one of the serial numbers doesn't match, it's in remarkable shape, and I can't even begin to tell you how much I want this thing.
Not long after, a man walks in with a box of presidential campaign pins. They look pristine, maybe too pristine. Rick is intrigued, especially by a Teddy Roosevelt Bull Moose Party pin. If real, that's money. He launches into an animated history lesson about Roosevelt taking a bullet before a speech and still powering through. The story alone is wild, but Rick can't shake the suspicion these pins might be fakes.
I got these doing a foreclosure clean out. I was getting ready to throw a box and all of a sudden like, whoa, this is something to keep.
Okay, cool. Do you know much about them?
No, I know nothing about them, other than there are people who ran for president.
Okay.
Some of them look nice.
I know this one could be worth money.
Rick decides to call in Dana, his go-to for political memorabilia. Dana arrives, flips one of the pins over, and boom! The word reproduction is printed on the back. The seller's face falls immediately. Turns out the pins were giveaways from Kleenex in 1968, not rare collectibles. Dana doesn't sugarcoat it. These pins are worthless to serious collectors. Ouch! Talk about going from presidential to pitiful in seconds.
So I called in my buddy Dana to come take a look.
Rick, how the heck are you?
Hey,
I'm pretty good.
Hi, how are you?
All right, this is what I called you on.
Political buttons. Rick, what are your concerns on this group?
Some of these really old ones from the 1800s just didn't look real.
Meanwhile, the shop atmosphere lightens up when another customer struggles to haul in a giant espresso machine. The thing is massive, basically industrial size, capable of making 240 cups an hour. Big Hoss and Chumley crack jokes, saying it might finally wake up the old man. The seller explains it came from his grandparents' donut shop, and it's just too big for home use. He's looking for serious cash.
I decided to go in the pawn shop today to sell my Astra Mega 1 espresso machine. My grandparents own a donut shop, and the clients just aren't into espresso, so they gave it to me. I have no use for it. It's too big for my house, so looking to get rid of it.
Negotiations kick off with the seller asking $4,500, an eye-watering number for a used machine. Big Hoss practically laughs, pointing out you can buy a brand new one online for $1,500. He offers $1,300 with the grinder included. The seller pushes back to $1,500, but Hoss sticks firm at $1,400. Eventually, the seller sighs and takes the deal. Not quite the jackpot he wanted, but at least he doesn't have to squeeze that beast into his kitchen.
How much are you trying to get?
4,500.
The only way you're gonna get 45 out of this thing is if this thing prints money. It's in good shape, but it's still you. And I can buy an Astra Mega 1 for around $1,500 on the internet.
Back at the shop, Chumley tries to lighten the mood with his new role as barista. Using the espresso machine, he brews the old man a cup of coffee, black as his soul, as he puts it. The old man takes a sip, and against all odds, he loves it. For a brief moment, Chumley feels like a hero, but the old man quickly snaps back to business, reminding Chumley that coffee doesn't pay the bills. Classic old man burn right there.
I mean, who wouldn't want some chum brew? I'm making the finest Colombian coffee known to man. I'm making it extra strong, a couple extra scoops. When you're making coffee for the old man, just remember 2 rules. No cream, no sugar, and black as his soul.
Later, another customer arrives carrying what he swears is an antique spinning wheel passed down through his family. He says it's at least a century old. Rick gives a quick history rundown on how these wheels spun fibers into yarn before the Industrial Revolution. The seller is hopeful. Antiques can mean money, but Rick starts noticing things don't quite add up.
Oh, pretty good. So what do you got here?
It's my grandma's antique spinning wheel.
Okay.
Did she spin silk into gold?
It was straw into gold, not silk.
That's true, it was straw.
It's the whole reading comprehension thing.
A Upon closer inspection, Rick spots the words "Country Craftsman" on the base. A dead giveaway, it's a decorative reproduction likely made in the 1950s. Suddenly, the antique loses its shine. The seller looks stunned while Rick politely breaks it to him. It's more of a grandma's living room decoration than a museum piece. The blow lands hard. What he thought was valuable family history is basically kitsch furniture.
These wheels can range in price anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000s. It all depends on the age, the condition, and if it has all the parts. Do you know about how old it is or anything like that?
I think it's probably about 100 years old, but
everything on here is machine turned.
Okay.
So it was a powered lathe, so it had to have been after the Industrial Revolution.
The seller presses Rick to make any kind of offer, insisting he won't be offended. Rick doesn't hesitate, $0. He tells the guy straight up there's no money to be made. It's a cold reality check, and the seller walks out muttering about finding a little old lady to buy it instead. Talk about going from hopeful to hopeless in record time.
Well, I mean, will you make any offer on it? You're not going to offend me. I mean,
Okay, trust me, I have no problem offending people. I really appreciate you bringing it in, but there's no money here.
All right.
The seller strolls in carrying what he calls the rarest Star Wars prototype in the world, a one-of-a-kind rocket-firing Boba Fett from 1979's Toy Fair. The dude beams with pride as he explains the tiny rocket was banned for being a choking hazard. Rick listens, but you can see his eyes already calculating. When asked the price, a firm $150,000. Rick's smirk says it all. That's from a galaxy far, far away.
What do we have here? This is the rarest, most significant Star Wars prototype in the world. This is a one-of-a-kind rocket-firing Boba Fett, and it is something I love more than anything.
Rick brings in Star Wars expert Steve Grad, who geeks out harder than anyone. Steve calls it the holy grail of Star Wars toy collecting, confirming it's 100% real and worth at least $125,000. The seller grins like he's already counting credits, but Rick quickly slices that hope in half. He offers $100,000 flat. The seller holds firm at $150,000, and just like that, the deal blasts off into hyperspace with no agreement.
Earlier, a guy brought in an ultra-rare Star Wars toy prototype of Boba Fett. And this guy's asking $150,000. So I'm calling in my buddy Steve, who is the biggest Star Wars geek nerd on the planet.
Next up, a seller wheels in a 1950 Shelby bicycle with a Sears motor. Rick's buddy Corey inspects it and jokes about the rust, telling him it came straight from Ohio. The owner wants $2,500, insisting the motor runs. Corey clearly isn't convinced and calls in restoration expert Bob to weigh in. The suspense is building. How much money will it take to breathe life back into this two-wheeled relic?
So, what in the world do we have here?
This is an old Shelby bicycle.
Shelby bicycle with a Sears motor.
Correct.
Okay.
It hadn't been used for 40 years.
So tell me, where'd you get it?
Found this at a flea market.
You found it in a flea market? What state?
Ohio.
Ohio? I can tell by the rust.
Bob arrives and checks the Shelby, pointing out every flaw like a surgeon listing problems before an operation. Chrome replating, welding, handlebars from the wrong era. It's a laundry list of issues. His estimate? At least $1,700 in restoration costs. Corey listens carefully, calculating whether this rust bucket can ever turn into gold. Bob assures him collectors would pay up to $4,000 restored, but only if Corey gets it cheap.
This is what I called you about. It's a Shelby bike. It's got one of the Sears motors on it.
Are you looking to get a paper route? Shelby was a great bicycle because they had a lot of styling. If you look at it, the fenders are bobbed, nice head badges. Just overall, it's just a cool bicycle.
The negotiation turns sharp. The seller clings to $2,500 while Corey throws out a brutal $500 offer. The seller looks like he just swallowed a fly, shocked by the lowball. They go back and forth, tension rising until Corey finally bumps up to $600. The seller reluctantly agrees, clearly defeated. Walking away with just $600, he mutters, "It's not what he wanted, but hey, it beats walking out empty-handed."
I can't pay you $2,500 for it, right?
Problem.
I'm not in the business of breaking even. What's the least you'll take?
How about $2 grand?
$2 grand ain't gonna happen, buddy. I'll walk away and not shake your hand for $2,000. I'm in the $500 range.
Then things take a quirky turn when a guy brings in a Hutchinson spool of wire fastener, basically an ancient stapler. Rick looks intrigued but skeptical. The seller wants $150, claiming it's collectible for museums. Demonstrating it, the seller staples with pride, like he's showing off a lightsaber. Rick, totally unimpressed. He counters with $30. The seller tries pushing to $80, but Rick holds firm at $40. Another disappointed walkout.
You have here?
This is my Hutchinson spool of wire.
This is pretty cool, man. This is pretty much the first stapler.
It's a fastener.
Do not operate this machine without paper. It could be unsafe.
Now Steve Grad returns, but not empty-handed. He brings a massive Star Wars autograph collection. We're talking over 300 signed collector cards with names like Hamill, Ford, Guinness, even James Earl Jones. On top of that, a poster signed by the entire cast and crew, plus composer John Williams' handwritten score. Rick nearly faints. It's Star Wars gold. Steve's asking $150,000 for the lot. Rick's response? A classic lowball, $100,000.
All signed, or?
It's like 300 out of 334, 335. Plus multi-sign cards where you have 3 signatures here, 3 signatures here. There's 65 Mark Hamill signatures in here. There's 20 Harrison Fords, 20 Guinnesses. Then there's Anthony Daniels and James Earl Jones and...
Steve isn't done yet. He runs out to his car and drags in a jaw-dropping piece, a screen-used Death Star trench section from the original Star Wars film. Rick can't believe his eyes. Steve explains how Industrial Light and Magic used it for close-ups during the trench run. His asking price? $25,000. Rick, never missing a chance to undercut, offers $15,000. Steve rejects it, choosing to keep his Death Star safe, literally.
Earlier, Steve brought in his Star Wars collection for me to check out. Showed me over 300 signed collector's cards and a movie poster signed by almost everyone on the cast and crew. But now he says he's got one more piece that I have to see.
A seller walked in with an ancient Roman military diploma, and instantly, Rick lit up. He couldn't resist talking about Julius Caesar and political Game of Thrones drama in Rome. The seller explained it belonged to Marcus Aurelius Valens, a member of the elite Praetorian Guard, and dropped the bomb. He wanted $15,000. Rick, completely clueless on this one, called in an expert before even considering a deal. Smart move, Rick.
I have an ancient Roman military diploma.
I love the Roman Empire. There's so many neat things to talk about. It was an amazing civilization.
While Rick waited on the expert, Chumley had his own encounter. A collector brought in an Alfred Hitchcock autographed self-portrait. The silhouette alone was iconic, straight out of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. The seller proudly said he wanted $3,000, but Chumley wasn't about to drop that without verification. Watching Chumley geek out over Hitchcock's suspense-filled legacy was priceless, especially when he asked, "You an Alfred Hitchcock fan?"
What do you have here?
I have an autographed self-portrait done by Alfred Hitchcock.
Let's check it out. What do you think? Does it look like in my profile?
Hitchcock's autograph went under the microscope. Expert Steve Grad confirmed it was real but valued it at just $1,200. The seller held firm at $2,500, while Chumley countered with $600. The seller stormed off, muttering that the offer was psycho. Talk about suspense with no happy ending.
This is a self-portrait autograph by Alfred Hitchcock. He's asking $3,000 for it. I'm not sure if he's psycho on the price.
Next up, nostalgia overload. A Hanna-Barbera collector strolled in with a 1961 Sugar Smack cereal box. Yes, a cereal box, but not just any box. It featured Quick Draw McGraw and Huckleberry Hound. Corey laughed about fighting over toys with his brother, while the seller confidently wanted $500. Corey lowballed at $100, but the seller wasn't having it. The tension over a cereal box? Absolutely hilarious.
I have an unused 1961 Sugar Smack cereal box.
All right.
Back to the heavy hitters, literally. A seller presented a King George horsehead sword from the late 1700s. He claimed it could have seen the Revolutionary War and asked for $5,900. Rick called in military expert Alex, who confirmed it was British and valuable but revealed the blade had been shortened, dropping its worth to $3,500. The seller wanted $2,800. Rick offered $2,350 and no deal. That sword fight fizzled fast.
It's a sword.
It is a sword, but not just a regular sword. It's a special sword.
What makes it so special?
This sword is a King George horsehead sword.
Chumley then pitched a wild idea. He was heading to LA for a groovy Austin Powers movie prop. Corey and Rick mocked him mercilessly, especially when Chumley demanded blank checks. Watching him yell, "Zip it," while Corey teased him was comedy gold.
What are you doing?
Getting ready to go to LA.
You didn't apply for vacation time or like that.
It's not vacation time. I got a lead on an item. I'm going to check out, baby.
Meanwhile, in LA, Chumley found the Austin Powers cryogenic chamber. The seller wanted $8,500. Chumley geeked out, quoting, "Yeah, baby," nonstop, but pointed out the missing nameplate and damage. He called in Tall Rob, who said it was worth $3,500. Even after the seller lowered to $5,500, Chumley passed, realizing shipping alone would cost a fortune.
This is the famous Austin Powers cryogenic chamber.
Shagadelic, baby.
Yeah.
Chumley returned from LA with gifts. He proudly handed Corey a sushi burrito, half-eaten. Corey flipped out, less style, saying no one's ever given him a half-eaten burrito as a present. Chumley just shrugged, claiming it was groovy. Corey's face, absolutely priceless.
I wanted to. It was amazing, coolest thing ever, but it was huge. I would have needed a truck to bring it back.
A seller came with a Superman sketch signed by creators Siegel and Schuster. Asking price, $6,500. Rick was skeptical. Expert Paul confirmed it was a print with real signatures, worth around $1,000. Rick offered $600, but the seller wanted $4,200. Another no deal. Kryptonite strikes again.
I'm here at the pawn shop today to sell my signed Superman artwork. I acquired it from a friend of mine that I've known for over 30 years.
Then came vintage Vegas vibes. A seller offered a miniature roulette table from the Desert Inn Hotel, complete with original instructions. He wanted $750. Corey called in Andy, who valued it at just $175. Corey offered $125. The seller countered $550, and another deal went bust. Vintage Vegas luck? Definitely not on Corey's side.
Such a really rare piece today from the Desert Inn Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is a miniature roulette table from the Desert Inn Hotel.
One of the flashiest items rolled in next, a rosary from the 1715 shipwreck fleet. The seller wanted a jaw-dropping $75,000. Rick reminded him the shipwreck market was flooded now, offering just $13,000. The seller refused, saying Rick was sinking his treasure dreams. Another lost-at-sea deal.
Rosary from a famous shipwreck, the 1715 fleet.
That's cool. Coral was really, really popular and inexpensive.